I don't think it's a secret that in Apex there's been a constant war between two groups. Casuals and pros. Casuals like one thing, pros complain about it, it gets nerfed, and then the casuals blame the pros, because obviously the pros have the louder and more powerful voices, so people felt like the pros' vision of the game was being instilled upon it. But recently, Respawn made a change that has kind of stopped this from happening, and now casuals are a lot more happy with the game. You see, there is a bit of evidence that Respawn were catering the game a lot more towards the pro players than the casual players, because Apex has a pro league, the ALGS, and this pro league is pretty big. There's in real life events, they did one in Japan last year, and obviously for these events, Respawn wants the game to be nicely balanced, and if the pros do have an issue with a certain aspect of balancing, Respawn would most likely address this issue. There was a bit of proof of this, as a few years ago, a Respawn developer went onto a podcast and was talking about how they have to cater to both casuals and pros when balancing the game, by saying, some legends like Gibby fall in the category of low pick rate but high win rate. However, in competitive and high level play, he is picked in almost every team composition. There's a significant challenge when it comes to changing the legend, as he already has a low pick rate but offers a lot of control of his kit. And this was an issue in Apex. Some legends would be blatantly underpowered to casual players, but in pro teams where everybody's communicating, they're very locked in, these legends would take a new form and be super powerful. So it led to some legends becoming extremely stale, and even if they were slightly buffed to make casual players happy, it would ruin the competitive side of the game. And this obviously led to a lot of stale balancing within Apex. Seasons would go by while it felt like some legends were just not touched because Respawn were too afraid to upset pros. This was until Respawn introduced a genius system. Legend bans, but in Apex's own style. Respawn announced legend bans in early 2025, but legend bans were only going to be active in ALGS matches, so basically the pro league of Apex where only pros play in a tournament setting for a cash prize, usually in a live stream where there's thousands of people watching, so at the absolute highest level of Apex. And legend bans wouldn't work like they do in other games, where a game starts, people choose a legend they want to ban, like in Siege, and then nobody will be able to select that character for the rest of the game. But instead, for Apex's ban format, they did something interesting. They calculated the legend with the highest pick rate after every single game and banned that legend. So, for example, imagine that the first game of the tournament had everybody pick Ash, so Ash had a 100% pick rate. That means in game 2, Ash would be banned and people would have to find a different legend. And when a legend is banned, they literally cannot be picked by the player. The legend gets completely grayed out. This was an absolutely awesome change, not only for Apex balancing reasons, but also for ALGS reasons. It required teams to have more versatility because they couldn't just crutch and rely upon one comp. And also, from many people's opinions, legend bans make ALGS more entertaining, and it's a pretty shared sentiment, because obviously there's a huge variety of legends, and you get to see how these pros play legends that you might not even want to pick. And if you don't believe me that legend bans created more variety in ALGS games, in 2024, before legend bans were introduced, Bangalore had an 88% pick rate in the ALGS. But legend bans didn't only benefit ALGS viewers and also the ALGS meta, but it also benefited Apex on a whole, because Apex could throw this worry out of their heads. They now don't have to worry about the risk of buffing certain legends to make them more fun and powerful and accidentally making them too OP in the ALGS. Because if the legend is too powerful, simply, after one game, they will be banned from the ALGS matches. So in my opinion, this took a ton of pressure off of Respawn on the casual side of balancing the game, as they can care a bit less regarding the meta affecting the extreme sides of the game and focus more on the average person like me and you. Legend bans also allow Respawn to make changes to legends and also the balancing of the game close to ALGS events without worrying about messing up the meta, because the metas in ALGS now flow a bit more than they used to. And from my experience, it did feel like Respawn used to dodge making big balancing changes before Apex events, especially ones in person, and that's the opinion of someone who reports on Apex news and also goes to the in real life events. It felt like before those events, they were scared of making changes and annoying pros. But now, they can do that because that legend will once again be banned without hesitation. So after legend bans in the ALGS were introduced, Respawn started getting risky with their changes. In fact, Respawn said this: Wait, before I say that, I'd like to thank everybody who's been using code GRRT on the EA app and the Apex web store to buy coins or whatever you want, because it does massively help the channel. But I just want to announce something real quick. If you plan to buy Battlefield 6 through the EA app or the EA website, you can use my code to buy this game, and it massively supports the channel. In fact, you can use my code on a lot of EA app and also EA web store purchases. There's literally somebody who uses my code to buy the Sims DLC, so thank you whoever you are. But thank you to those who have been using my code on the EA web store and EA app. It does help the channel because I do get a monetary kickback. And by the way, the EA web store is cross-platform. You can buy PlayStation coins through here and still support the channel by entering the code. Thank you to my supporters, and thank you if you're gonna pick up coins or Battlefield 6 using my code. I appreciate it. But back to the video. So what did Respawn say about making risky changes? Well, last season in an interview, Evan Nikolic, a senior game designer at Respawn, said, "Generally, we'd love for every legend to be just as viable as another, and that was our approach to balancing for a long time, to try and push and pull the legends to be balanced perfectly. However, we found that approach was leading to more stale legend metas that didn't shake up your core experience with the game over time. So we've started to take larger swings, as you saw with the legend class changes, and we've also got bolder with those as we went." And for further confirmation, in a Season 26 interview, we got a quote from a Respawn developer saying, "The big thing is the balance between having fun versus staleness and annoyance. When it becomes very frustrating to fight, we have to fix that. We don't want to let the pain sit around for too long. I think in the past we've made that mistake and just let things ride out." And honestly, from a news perspective, as someone who's been doing Apex news for over 4 years, God help me, Respawn have definitely been leagues braver with the size and scale of recent legend changes, because I suspect they aren't as scared as the potential implications on the ALGS or the reaction of pros. And also, they aren't scared to create a meta where a legend has an 88% pick rate. How absolutely ridiculous. Now, to me, it's not clear whether the legend ban system was made with the balancing of the casual side of the game in mind, but clearly it has affected that side of the game. Lately, the casual side of Apex has felt a lot more whimsy, and it's honestly at the place I wanted it to be at for years. Respawn adds special weapons that they aren't afraid of being a bit too powerful, and they make legend changes that you could not have even comprehended just a year before, like the Ash Dash. I'm sure during this video there have been plenty of people who have typed down in my comments about how despite the Pro League changes, annoying and frustrating legends like Alter do still dominate ranked. And you might be wondering, are legend bans going to come to our side of Apex, or are they gonna stay as an ALGS thing? Well, currently they're only exclusive to ALGS, but we do have to consider that some changes that were originally exclusive to the ALGS, like swapping the dropship at the start of ranked matches in favour for dropships that drop squads over a predetermined point of interest, were originally exclusive to the ALGS before being introduced into ranked. So I think to completely dismiss the potential of Respawn adding legend bans, at least in ranked in the future of Apex, would be foolish. And maybe if they introduce legend bans to rank one day, maybe Respawn could get a bit whimsier with their balance changes. But remember to use my code to buy Apex coins through the EA app or the Apex web store, or maybe even when buying Battlefield 6, link to the web store below, and also subscribe to stay updated.